Hello, and welcome to the YBMB Show live today, our business day. And those of you who follow, you know that I do it live 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Monday, we cover body. Wednesdays, we cover mindset, upgrading your mindset. And Fridays, we cover business. And very often, I have a guest. And today, I'm lucky enough to have Joanna Dai here, who I'm so pleased to have you, Joanna, because your business in particular really does link body and business. And so it's going to be great to talk to you about that. But first of all, well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And tell us a bit about your business. And obviously I know about it. I'm a big fan of it. But tell us about your business and how it started and everything.
Great. Thank you so much, Angela, for inviting me onto your live show. It's really nice to have you. And you and I have worked together and discussed lots, and you look fabulous in our crimson Trailblazer.
Love it.
And it's comfy. Yeah, my story in a nutshell is I was an investment banker for 8 years in London and New York. I always loved to look smart and tailored. And I was, working 12 to 16 hours a day, sometimes just jumping on a plane for a day of meetings and heading back, or running around the trading floor around the city, always on the go. And I felt a pain point, a frustration in that work clothes were not moving at my speed. They were, they didn't stretch enough. They got wrinkled. They were inconvenient. A lot of them were dry clean. And it was one day when I had a 4 a.m. cab pickup from Heathrow in my suit, a day of meetings running around Stockholm, and I boarded the 8 p.m. flight back. And I sat there on the tarmac and I was like, waistband digging in, arms are comfortable, wrinkled mess. And I thought to myself, I wish I wore my yoga kit. And I love the feeling of that, all that stretch, and can this feel like yoga and look like a power suit? And that was the sort of eureka aha moment at the time. I couldn't stop thinking about that concept. And that year I did take a break from investment banking, took the time to enroll in London College of Fashion in design and pattern cutting. I went to a bunch of fabric trade shows by myself, solely looking at performance fabrics that did do the 4-way stretch, machine washable, wrinkle resistant, breathable, all of these technical things that we want in our clothes to be. And ended up, launching the collection in 2017. The premise is that I want to build a world where clothes didn't restrict us, but rather empowered us as women, as so many of us want to break the glass ceiling. And that feeling of our clothes not restricting us, being able to empower us to deliver our best performance when we need to, whether it is, on doing your big presentation or giving a big talk, or just more women succeeding as a whole altogether.
Yeah, well, it's amazing what you've done. And, a few things about that. I mean, very often, when we're sort of sitting there at a quiet moment or the end of the day, we think of sort of ideas, don't we? Sometimes we come up with our best ideas, but equally, very often we don't follow through on them. And so I think that's the first point to take from what you just said there, is that you really took action on an idea. And I really would emphasize to people more than ever, obviously the lockdown has been a sort of difficult for everybody. At the same time, it's really given us opportunities to think about what we really want to do and pursue interests that maybe we otherwise wouldn't have done. So, and I'm so pleased that you did, because, I bought lots of your outfits and they've got beautiful sort of, details on them, but they look so smart. And when we met, it was because I bought a whole range of I remember going to one of your studios and I thought, oh, navy, black, red, cream, there were such lovely colors and all different styles. And, I forgot actually, because obviously working from home, I haven't had the need to wear suits, but I thought I'd pop a jacket on today. And I forgot it feels like I'm wearing a sweatshirt. But it just obviously looks that bit smarter, and you feel smarter. So
you look amazing. I love the whole baseball cap. The red is matching and the white under. Like, this is how tailoring can still look very chic and sporty and everyday. And I love how you've styled it today.
Thank you. And the fact that, someone, like me, but many women now, like you as well, we like to do our steps and run around. And even if we're not at the moment in the middle of the city, how great to be able to go from, meeting to meeting, even if they're high powered meetings, and you still can run around in between time. So I think it's amazing, and what you've done with building the brand and everything. You've got some fantastic names involved in it. But obviously then, you know, last time we saw each other, you came to my office and we were having a chat, and we just worked out that was over a year ago.
Yeah. Wild.
Crazy, you know, just before lockdown. So, and then I was sort of watching what you were getting involved in at the beginning, and you quickly sort of started to help fundraising and everything. But tell us how the last year's been for you as well.
Yeah. I find like it's, you know, I find like honesty and giving like the true version of what happened really powerful, because we've all gone through such a hard time in all our own different ways and journeys the past year. We, you know, we're hitting our stride right before the lockdown. This like aesthetic that also was really comfortable and performance driven of this power suit and this power woman really was resonating. And so you could imagine that, you know, while we're designing and selling clothes for the women to leave the home, when lockdown hit and we were all locked down and stuck inside, there was not a natural need for what we were, the narrative and our designs and products. We did see an impact quite drastically in March. And we just bucked down and thought to ourselves, and it was, you know, the first few months were a lot of unknown, what's going to happen, what is this virus, what is its behavior. I felt at the time, so we've done several things since then, but straight away we felt like we wanted to help the NHS. I mean, I think everyone felt that. And from our perspective, we have a few of our biggest customers were doctors, doctors who may also be lecturers or giving, you know, talks at conferences and needing to look smart when they weren't in their scrubs in the hospital. And they, a few of them, you know, we chatted to were like, these women are pulling double shifts. They're still getting home to take care of their children and cook the meal. And then like getting into something comfortable in and out of work that you can just chuck in the machine would really be great. We launched 18,000 pounds worth of we donated 18,000 pounds worth of our best-selling trousers to the NHS and women of the NHS. And we did a buy a trouser, donate a trouser initiative in April and May. We also did a cash fundraise of 4,000 pounds to NHS charities together. And that was the first thing we did during that quieter period. I saw in other countries that masks were, you know, compulsory, and UK didn't get on that until May. But the first week of May, we turned around a mask designed to product launch on our website in a week. And
that was the silk ones, wasn't it? I bought some of those beautiful silk ones, the ivory and pink and blue and black. And they're so soft and it's still washable and everything. Really lovely.
Yeah, they're so lovely. We did those ones, and we also did a cotton one. We, knowing our fabrics and the research that we do on fabrics, we sourced ones that have a technology that has been proven to be sort of microbial filtration efficiency of 99% plus certified. And we put that technology into our cotton masks as well. Silks are really breathable, and they have naturally sort of antimicrobial attributes to them as well. It was from being impacted in March and April. May was one of our biggest months, and the day we launched the masks on pre-order was one of our biggest online sales days ever. A way to show that, you know, by putting all of our expertise into delivering a product that people do need at the time, it's something that did help us get through, sort of bridge those months where we were still figuring out, like, where do we come out of this? And then we went on to speaking to our customers. And I think there's a lot of talk of, you know, women through the pandemic of really being burdened with more of the double shift than men, as in still providing for their families, their children, but still like getting that document or deal signed while cooking dinner or something. And I envisioned turning all of that feedback into a collection where it was more versatile than ever. We have the fabrics that are really comfortable. It, you know, traditionally was the more tailored aesthetic. How do we create some styles that you can go from a bike ride, an errand, dropping off your kids, doing all of this, but still throwing a blazer on and looking like you're ready to go into a board meeting or presentation. And we launched that collection, the Every collection, in October for the everyday and everywhere and every woman. And it's done incredibly well in terms of resonating and speaking to our customer. The one trouser we launched sold out within weeks. So currently on back order. But, I think overall, just continuing to empathize with our community and what everyone is going through, instead of being tone deaf as a brand and a company and being like, new suits have dropped. It's like, where are you wearing them to? Like how we can, and in January, we focused a lot on well-being and focusing content and giveaways on making customers just feel a little bit better, giving good news about what's happening right now in the world. So yeah.
I think what's lovely is, and this is, I think, was being your ethos right from the very, very beginning, is that your focus is so much on your customer, so you have your sort of your client avatar, and all your branding speaks to that client. And then you were very much thinking about that customer all the way through, rather than thinking, oh my goodness, what can we do about our business? It came through very much that what you're doing is you're focusing on your client. And this is one of the things that we teach so much in the business section of Body Means Business. It is very much that, start with your client avatar and then look at what it is that they're really needing at that moment. And it can change. And successful businesses are those that where you're listening to your client and you're delivering what they want, even if that as and when that changes, rather than sort of forcing your ideas upon them. And so I think it's wonderful what you've managed to achieve with that. And also just being able to sort of see what the potential need was going to be for masks as well, because you definitely were one of the first that jumped on that and started off with supporting NHS, etc., and then now have turned that into a really sort of great alternative revenue stream, I guess. But let's talk a little bit about the importance of how you feel as a client, in terms of your body, and how you perform when you're sort of, whether you're in business or whatever you're trying to achieve in your life. Because I am, as you know, a very strong advocate of feeling physically fit, first of all. And when I say fit, I actually mean strong. And then that in turn makes you feel mentally strong. And then that in turn sort of gives you the foundations to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve in your life, whether it is business or whether it's a charity project or whether it's just, doing something that you love, whatever it is. If you've got those foundations in place, you're in a better position and to be resilient and deal with problems that inevitably come. What's your views on sort of the connection?
I think, all of that and taking everything you just said resonates so much. And for me, in the business world, that translates into feeling confident.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing of all. So whether it's what you wear that doesn't restrict you, or have a tag that's scratching, or you're self-conscious because your skirt is shifting around or riding up and you might look inappropriate in a meeting with all men, or whether it's, we talk about physical, and I wish I had as much strength as you, but I have run 4 marathons. I do cycle to work, and I do run, 3 to 4 times a week on the weekend, up to 20K. So I'm trying. But I think that physical outlet to also release endorphins and to feel like you've accomplished, something physically at the end of that run, it's an achievement, and it contributes to your overall well-being as well. And it's so important. And, for me and you as entrepreneurs, our brains are always switched on. They're never switched off. So having work-life balance and creating that separation from when the workday is done or the weekend has started and doing something else is actually really beneficial and healthy to generating new ideas or looking at different things that will reflect a way back to, or hearing a story or podcast and inspire ideas that reflect back to what you're doing and make it even better and more creative. So I think all of that is absolutely important in contributing into what you do and someone's success and someone's feeling of confidence. But yeah, I couldn't agree more on that. And I think all of it goes hand in hand. And to empower women is to empower our entire lifestyles.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're half the population, so we're sort of missing out if we don't sort of do that for that half, aren't we? You said something about the language of dressing or something like that. What were you referring to there?
Yeah, what's been really great that we've been doing in January every week is doing a customer focus group with an intimate group of our customers, and 9 months into lockdown, how everyone is doing. And I think coming out of those focus groups and speaking to our customers, the psychology of getting dressed every morning is so important, because for me, and I'm sure this resonates with others too, if we turn up to our workstations at home, for me, it's a dining table. But if I'm still wearing pajamas and I don't look presentable and I haven't even brushed my teeth, like, I'm not set up with the mindset to succeed that day at the level that should be my optimal to perform. And so there's one part of it is the psychology of getting dressed. Also, the second part is like the joy of getting dressed, to look the part, to define your personal brand to others if you have video calls that day, but also like just to know if you pass by the mirror in front of somewhere in your house, like, I look good today, I'm going to own this day, it's mine. And so the mindset that you create from the getting dressed part, it really is important to empower your day. And I highly, would have that as a very strong message for January, for the rest of this lockdown, is get dressed and look good and project your personal image and your brand, because that's only going to empower you.
I so agree, because I think I was talking to someone about energy the other day, and we all know that feeling when you're not got that right energy, you sort of feel a bit drained and a bit sort of dragged down. And the way that I sort of I've learned to sort of get out of that feeling is to sort of stand more in a power woman pose and just sort of think about the person that I want to be. And that's sort of easy to do if you've done a visioning sort of exercise before. You sort of the best you, as it were. And when you sort of look at the best you tend to, if you've done that visioning, you tend to be able to see the future you and see what you're dressed in, and see how you actually look and feel and act when you are being the best you. And for me, that is someone who's got my outfit together, and it might actually be gym clothes or whatever it is, but certainly visualizing how you want to be is so important. And you do feel different when you actually have sort of just made that effort and selected an outfit and put it on. Doesn't have to be any particular type of outfit, but I think we need to dress in keeping with our vision of ourselves, and then you step into that person.
Exactly. I completely believe that too, because when you do envision what you're going to wear that day, the next step is you're getting up and you're actually doing it, and you're taking that action of making it come to life, and you're fulfilling or manifesting what you've just envisioned. And I think that's so powerful. It's such a simple thing, but it's so powerful.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was asking you just briefly earlier about virtual reality. Yesterday I was involved in a virtual reality event, and I've got one of these Oculus things. I don't know if you've seen.
I saw on your Instagram.
They're so cool. And I was invited into a series of different rooms, and the rooms were illustrating different types of businesses, and one of them was a fashion business. And it was sort of showing in the future the way that we're going to live. I have to say, when you take it off, it's such a disappointment to be in normal life and looking around your room.
Oh no.
But I just wondered, obviously we're talking in the future with that, but from your perspective over the last year, how have you embraced technology a bit more? And the experience in your pop-ups was amazing, but you had these fabulous sort of consoles that people could use to sort of work out their ideal shape. So I can see you're embracing technology very much, but tell us a bit about that, what you have been doing and what you're planning to do.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting what you did yesterday. And I think that is certainly the future, and the future is arriving soon. We're a direct-to-consumer e-commerce brand. We don't sell through any sort of like Selfridges or Harrods, because we're cutting out that middleman and that markup to deliver better prices for It's just the door.
Yeah, mine just went as well. Just,
Oh.
at least everyone knows that we're live.
I know. I left a note. I was just like, leave it at the front door. I'm on a Zoom call. Realities of working from home. I hope they don't ring again. But I was just saying, you know, part of delivering our entire business model is on innovation, and that is through technology. We have something called Dai DNA, and the entire premise of that is any services and technology enabled functions that are related to fit, styling, sizing, and optimizing that is part of the Dai DNA. It's our DNA fit to your DNA. We do currently today the virtual appointments, which continue to do very well, and chat through WhatsApp through our customers on fit sizing guide of our products. But last year we launched the Trouser Fit Finder, and thousands of women use that to find their best shape and silhouette of a Dai trouser on our website. And we have also shown at the end the result in a woman that is closest to the women's size who's taken the quiz finder, the fit finder.
That is, yeah.
I think, you know, on the very high tech side, the AR, VR, there are technologies being developed today that try to, you know, envision the fit of an outfit or styles on a woman's body. So far, what we've seen in speaking to, you know, the community and also the investors who back those types of companies is that user adoption is still low, and it may just take a bit longer for the consumer to actually get to the point where they're comfortable doing that. The other thing I find, starting a women's wear brand that is tailored and fitted, we as women are all so subjective too about fit. What one woman may come out of the fitting room and say, you know, I could go a size down. We could look objectively and say they fit you perfectly, but she may want to have a size smaller to feel like that, or vice versa. Or someone may be like, I don't like my boobs. Someone be like, I like my boobs. Like, and so I think the element of that, and then also just the way garments are constructed in terms of fitting, and women have so many body shapes and sizes, is that it's still, I think the technology from that perspective is still quite a ways away. But internally in January, we have been discussing, we launched a new light tech version of constructing so they're called dynamic kits. And they're live on our website now, but we have 6 curated entire outfits suitable to different lifestyle or different functions within our lifestyle. And by buying all 3 or 2 pieces at the same time, there is a significant savings versus buying everything a la carte. And I think the next iteration of that from our perspective is, you know, how, and again, going back to our customers, like, how do women shop? How do our customers shop? A lot of times they do come in and get the whole suit. But, you know, we've got a power move trouser, we've got the high-waisted power move trouser, we've got a wide leg and a cropped and culottes. How can we create effectively like the Clueless experience where you've got that wardrobe? And Clueless was back in 2000 or 19, whenever that was. But, you know, how can we create a better experience for our customer? And it always starts with the customer first. And then how can we use the technology to support that experience and make it a more seamless experience for our customers?
Amazing. One of the things that I think was really exciting as well, I mean, I wear an Aura ring, and obviously lots of people wear wearables, as they're called, you know, yes. So devices, Fitbits, Apple phones, the Whoop strap, you know,
exactly,
and all of these different things. I found the Aura rings, it's just been excellent. But what I thought was really exciting as well on that event yesterday is they were talking about wearables in terms of clothes. So there was something called soccer balls, where you have the socks and there's a little thing in there. But they were also talking about items of clothing where, you know, that would also pick up aspects of your well-being. So it would be sort of your temperature or heart rate. So it's amazing where body and clothing is actually sort of connecting, so that we, in the end, we become, you know, part. It's so important. I think your concept of fitting clothing to a sort of a moving body, and an active body is just so sort of future thinking, really.
I think the app of the future, I think that's super interesting. But something like, and I'm just speaking out loud, this is so like 30,000 feet blue skies. But if we could measure the temperature of our customers potentially going through a presentation or the heart rate, and then that can help us work on, well, breathing or how to manage our, because all of that means our body signals are maybe being, nervous in front of an audience, and how we can work on our public speaking skills and effectiveness and keeping our calm so that our brain can respond to its most optimal to questions that come up or to the challenges of giving that presentation. So that's a very nice idea. The Dai app of the future.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And I think that's, again, another sort of theme really that comes out for me when I speak to you about your business. One is you're very customer focused, but the second one is innovative, and you can be innovative. And even if you're in a market which one would think is a sort of a so-called flooded market, I mean, the world of fashion and clothing, one would think pretty, sort of saturated market, and that you come along with a very innovative idea and it's really flown. And I think the other thing that you've done really well, which is a great message to people listening who may be thinking, we've all had time during this lockdown all of these lockdowns to think about our next career and our way forward. And as you know, I always believe that people have many, many different types of careers in them. But you're a great example here of that. You were investment banking for, I think you said 8 years?
8 years, yeah.
And then you've made that transition to business owner in fashion. So I mean, any sort of tips if someone's sort of sitting there now and may not be they want to get into fashion, but they might want to do something completely different and they may be worried about that. And I know you've told me your story before about sort of how you did that transition, but any tips for people wanting to do something like that?
Yeah, I mean, we can have a whole session about that transition and, becoming an entrepreneur. And I do enjoy talking about that. The one tip is, whatever you're doing, the audience out there, if you're not feeling like you're being fulfilled by what you do, or there's not that level of passion for what you do, I think it's time to ask yourself what parts of the job you do enjoy, or what bigger direction industry wise or business function wise is something that you would enjoy doing, and starting to take the steps of making your life more fulfilling, more filled with purpose, more satisfying. And I think that's the most important mindset to go about it with, because then once you've arrived at, okay, this is something that I think I potentially could try, it's obviously a risk to leave, but I feel like there are greater gains to be had by doing this and taking this step. The next step is taking action. There's so much that we can say we want to do, or maybe complain about what we are, not feeling happy about. And I think my biggest one thing in making that leap was taking action and doing it. You can dive into many depths of like how that happened, but and it was very risky and it was very unknown. But I think now I'm reaping the benefits and rewards from taking that step, and I'm much more fulfilled. As a founder, I hadn't paid myself for 3 years, and that part is much different as a financial profile from investment banking. But what I get to do, the change that I'm feeling like we're delivering and impacting and helping women, it's just feeling much more satisfying and much more fulfilling for me every day.
Yeah, and I think that word fulfillment is so critical. I mean, as we know more than ever, we only have one life. This is our one and only vehicle to live it in.
Yeah.
And so I think, fitness and strengthening your body and your mind, we've got to allocate the time to it. The answer for fulfillment is not staying up late into the night answering your emails and just working harder and harder and harder. The answer is firstly getting your priorities right with regard to your own vehicle, your mind, your body and your mind. And then thinking about what you truly love doing. And I know that people say it on things like Instagram and it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's true. Every time I talk to somebody, and I know it myself, when you end up doing something that you really, really love doing, and there's no answers to why we love doing certain things, but some people, everybody's got their own passion. And I think if you can find something that you just really enjoy doing, and then find a way of sort of doing some business in it, it doesn't feel like work. It starts to feel like you're just enjoying every minute of your life. And of course, you still have challenges. I'm sure you do the same as I do in business. There's still, annoying things that happen and down days and all of that, and problems you have to resolve. But we always get through them. And the difference is when you're doing something that you love, you do feel fulfilled, even right at the beginning. And so, you're such a great example of that. And I would agree with you that if people are thinking about what to do next, they want to do something next, then they just do it and just take some action. And it's just one little step. You don't have to do the whole thing. I think you can just work where you want to be and then just bring it back. As you said, you enrolled into a college course.
Yeah, exactly. And I love what you just said just now about you only have one life and one body. And that reminded me the year I took the action to leave finance and do this, I turned 30 and I was like, well, what am I going to achieve this? Where do I want to be in the next decade? And I don't feel like what I've done the past 8 years, like it's been such a great experience, but I've gotten here and I don't see how that's going to take me to the next step. And so always, you only live once, so make the most of it and sometimes take a little risk and see what happens. But there's you can gain from learning from it. And what do you have to lose? I think that's the question to weigh up for everyone in their personal journeys. But you have to feel fulfilled every day.
You definitely do. And people think, I've got my house and my car and my lifestyle and everything. But I think, again, this is some of the positive things that I think have come out of the pandemic and the lockdown, is that we don't need as much as we thought. We don't have to have so many holidays. We can still be happy without. We don't have to have the best car. We don't have to always be going out to all the best restaurants, or you can still live a happy, productive life and push things forward and make things happen and have an impact, and but do it in an area that you really enjoy. So I
love that.
You're a great example of that. Well, thank you so much. And if people want to look at your site, what's the best site that they can go on to, Joanna, to have a look at the things that you've mentioned?
We are at daiwear.com. That's DAIWEAR.com. And on Instagram, we're at DAI. So find us and follow us. We've got lots of exciting things coming up.
Absolutely. And if you are interested in doing some more of the things that I've mentioned, building that physical strength, building that mental strength, and you want some help starting your business or pushing your business forward, then also come on to YBMB. And we've got modules there, different levels of programs. I'd love to see you on that. So thank you so much, Joanna, and have a lovely weekend, and bye-bye all. Thanks very much.
You too. Lovely to see you, Angela.